This video is about the danger and gift of seeing what others don't. Do you ever feel isolated because you notice patterns, motives, and lies that most people ignore? If that's you, stay with me. By the end, you'll have a practical way to carry your insight without losing connection, peace, or yourself. It begins quietly. A subtle sense that something is amiss. The world feels like a stage, familiar faces wearing masks, reality growing fragile. You notice cracks in the facade, a lonely awakening. This new sight separates you, drawing a line between your experience and theirs. The journey inward begins. You seek sanctuary, searching for meaning in solitude, guided only by a fragile, dawning intuition. To see what others do not is to walk a path of profound solitude. This is not just being alone, but a deeper isolation of the spirit. Your words fall into a void, misunderstood or dismissed. The world feels distant, laughter and connection just out of reach. Yet in this solitude, something new grows, a resilient, authentic self, quietly illuminated from within. The moment of true separation comes when you choose to trust your own perception over the crowd. It is a quiet act of rebellion, stepping into the swirling fog of the unknown. You walk forward not because the path is clear, but because you can no longer stand still. Your perception becomes a lantern you choose to carry, examining the shadows with curiosity. This first step is a commitment to your own soul, a difficult, lonely and redemptive path. The world you once knew now seems like a hall of mirrors, each one reflecting a distorted and fragmented reality. You look for a clear image, a single, coherent truth, but find only warped versions of what is. This is the initial torment of rare perception. It is not a clear panoramic view from a mountaintop, but a disorienting gaze into a shattered looking glass. You see the contradictions that others ignore, the pieces of the puzzle that do not fit the neat picture everyone else accepts. You see the kindness in a person's eyes, but you also see the cruelty they are capable of. You see the beauty of a shared ritual, but also the emptiness it conceals. These fragmented visions war within you, making it impossible to rest in simple conclusions. This fractured sight turns your own mind into a battlefield. You struggle to reconcile the pleasant surface of things with the unsettling depths you now perceive. A simple conversation becomes a complex dance of subtext and hidden motives. A gesture of friendship feels both genuine and calculated. This dual vision is exhausting. It robs you of the peace that comes with taking the world at face value. You long for the simple comfort of believing things are as they appear. But the mirror is broken, and you cannot unsee the cracks. The burden is not just in seeing the darkness, but in seeing it alongside the light, unable to separate one from the other, forced to hold the whole messy truth. Others navigate their lives with a confidence you now envy. They move through the world with an unshakable belief in the solidity of their mirrors. They see a reflection they are comfortable with and ask no further questions. When you try to point out the fractures, they look at you with confusion. They cannot see what you see. To them, your perceptions are the distortions, not the reflections. They believe you are the one who is broken, that your vision is flawed. This dismissal is a heavy weight. It forces you to question your own sanity, to wonder if the unsettling hum is a product of your own mind's discord, not the world's. And so, you learn to live with the fragments. You stop trying to piece the mirror back together into a single, perfect whole. Instead, you begin the painstaking work of studying each shard. You learn to appreciate the partial truth each one reveals. This is a subtle but crucial shift. It is the beginning of accepting the complexity of reality, of moving beyond the need for simple answers. The world is not a clean, polished surface, and your perception is not a flaw. It is simply a more honest reflection of a world that is, in its very nature, fractured contradictory, and profoundly mysterious. The burden remains, but it is now a burden you are learning to carry with purpose. To see what others don't is to become a silent vessel for uncomfortable truths. You sense the elephants in every room, the fragility behind smiles, the weight of what's left unsaid. These truths settle within you, heavy and dense. You swallow the words and they turn to lead in your gut. Each unspoken truth adds another layer to the mask you must wear. But over time, you learn the quiet strength of bearing these truths, like a stone enduring the river's weight. There is a deep primal hunger in the human soul to be seen, to be truly known. For those with rare perception, this longing becomes a desperate thirst, a search for someone who sees the same fractured reflections. You scan every crowd for a flicker of recognition, but often find only vacant stares. The loneliness beside someone who cannot see you is deeper than being alone. Yet the hunger for shared sight is not weakness. It is faith that somewhere other eyes are searching for yours. Seeing what others miss can be heavy to carry. If you're ready to process it with someone trained to help, check the online therapy link in the description and use code THERAPY20 for 20% off. Get the tools to hold your insight without burning out. There comes a point where the pain of seeing is so great that the temptation to close your eyes becomes almost irresistible. The allure of ignorance, of returning to the comfortable slumber of the crowd, is a siren's call. It promises peace, belonging, and an end to the lonely burden of awareness. To choose in that moment to keep your eyes open is an act of profound courage. It is a quiet, internal declaration of war against your own desire for comfort. It is the decision to value truth over tranquility, integrity over ease. This is not a courage born of strength, but one born of a deep inner necessity. To keep looking means accepting the pain as part of the path. It means facing the fractured mirrors each day without flinching. It means walking into rooms filled with unspoken truths and bearing their weight without collapsing. This courage is not a grand, heroic gesture, but a series of small, relentless choices. It is the choice to stay present with uncomfortable feelings both in yourself and in others. It is the choice to resist easy answers and simplistic judgments. It is the daily commitment to honor what you see, even when it costs you dearly, even when no one else validates your vision. This courage transforms the nature of your perception. What began as an affliction, an unwanted sensitivity, slowly becomes a conscious faculty. You learn to direct your gaze, to focus your inner sight. You are no longer a passive victim of overwhelming impressions, but an active explorer of the hidden landscape. You start to look for the patterns in the chaos, the meaning behind the suffering. Your vision, sharpened by the discipline of courage, begins to penetrate deeper. You see not only the brokenness of the world, but also the resilience, not only the shadows, but also the faint light that struggles within them. This is the turning point. The burden of seeing does not vanish, but it is joined by a sense of purpose. You realize that your ability to see is not random, it has a function. Perhaps the function is simply to bear witness, to be the one who does not look away. Perhaps it is to hold a space for a deeper reality until others are ready to see it too. The courage to keep looking is the courage to accept this sacred responsibility. It is the moment you stop fighting your perception and begin to align yourself with it, recognizing it not as a curse, but as your own difficult, demanding, and undeniable truth. What's one truth you noticed that most people around you refuse to see, and what did it cost you? As your perception deepens, the chasm between you and the ordinary world widens. You begin to operate on a different frequency, concerned with matters that seem abstract or irrelevant to others. While conversations around you revolve around daily routines, material possessions, and social dramas, your mind is wrestling with questions of meaning, purpose, and the nature of the psyche. This creates a profound sense of alienation. You feel like a deep-sea diver trying to describe the wonders of the ocean floor to people who have never left the shallow waters of the beach. Their world seems flat and two-dimensional compared to the rich, complex, and often dangerous world you inhabit. This depth makes you a stranger in your own culture. You find it difficult to participate in the rituals of surface-level living. Small talk becomes an excruciating effort, a painful reminder of the vast, unspoken territory that lies between you and the person you are speaking to. You may be perceived as overly serious, intense, or intimidating. People sense that you are not fully engaged in their world, and they instinctively pull back, uncomfortable with the depth you represent. They are content with the surface, and your very presence is a silent challenge to their contentment, a reminder of the abyss they have chosen to ignore. This alienation can lead to a withdrawal from the world. When you consistently fail to find resonance for your inner life in your outer environment, the temptation is to retreat entirely. The outer world, with its noise and superficiality, begins to feel abrasive to your heightened sensitivity. You may seek solitude not just for peace, but as a necessary shield to protect your own inner reality from being invalidated or trivialized. This retreat is a double-edged sword. While it provides a sanctuary for your soul, it also deepens your isolation, making the eventual return to the world even more difficult. However, this alienation from the surface is also what allows for a deeper connection to the soul. By being pushed out of the mainstream, you are forced to cultivate your own inner resources. You learn to find meaning not in collective approval, but in the silent, ongoing dialogue with your own depths. The alienation becomes a form of initiation. It severs your dependency on the superficial world and compels you to grow roots into a deeper, more authentic ground of being. You become a solitary tree apart from the forest, but with roots that reach down into the hidden wellsprings of life itself. If depth like this helps, subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. In the darkest moments of the burden, when the weight of sight feels unbearable, something shifts. You have been staring at the cracks in the walls of reality for so long, seeing them only as signs of decay and brokenness. But then, one day, you notice something else. Through one of those very cracks, you perceive a faint, almost imperceptible glimmer of light. It is not the harsh light of the outer world, but a soft golden radiance that seems to emanate from somewhere beyond the wall. It is a quiet, unassuming whisper that promises the wall is not the end of everything. This discovery is transformative. It reframes the entire experience of seeing. The cracks are no longer just wounds, they are openings. They are the very places where a new reality can break through. Your perception, which has for so long been focused on the flaws, the darkness and the pain, now has a new object of focus. You begin to search for this light with the same intensity you once used to catalogue the shadows. You press your ear to the wall, listening not for the sounds of collapse, but for the whispers of what lies beyond. The burden of seeing the brokenness is now balanced by the hope of seeing through it. This light is not a solution that fixes the world or erases the pain. It does not mend the fractured mirror or lift the weight of unspoken truths. Instead, it offers a different perspective. It suggests that the brokenness of the world is not a final state, but a necessary condition for transformation. It hints that reality is not a solid, impenetrable structure, but a permeable membrane, and that your rare perception is what allows you to sense the radiance shining from the other side. This brings a new kind of peace, not the peace of ignorance, but the peace of profound and meaningful context. Your journey, then, is no longer just about enduring the darkness. It becomes a quest for this hidden light. You are no longer just a passive observer of a flawed world, but an active participant in a great mystery. The burden of seeing is still heavy, the path is still lonely, but it is now illuminated by a purpose that transcends personal suffering. You carry the knowledge of the cracks not as a curse, but as a map. You are the one who knows where the walls are thinnest, where the light is most likely to break through. The burden has not been lifted, but it has been sanctified. The cost of seeing the truth is that you must learn to live a lie. You wear a mask of placid agreement, smiles that do not reach your eyes, nods that betray your inner dissent. The mask is heavy, pressing against your skin, eroding your integrity. The world rewards this performance, but the agony is in feeling the mask fuse with your own skin. Eventually, you must choose comfort or authenticity. There's a voice inside you, desperate to speak its truth, but it's trapped, silenced by fear. You walk through a world of polite fiction, your inner voice screaming at the injustice, but no one hears. The unspoken words curdle inside, turning into resentment and exhaustion. Outlets like art or solitary walks offer relief but never replace authentic communication. Eventually, the pain of self-betrayal outweighs the fear of rejection. Before you can speak your truth to the world, you must first have the courage to hear it yourself. Living among surfaces creates a deep hunger for authenticity. You crave real conversations, genuine feeling and honest perception, tired of trivialities and pretense. This craving makes you intolerant of falsehood, isolating you further. You seek the rawness of nature, art or pain, places where nothing wears a mask. Ultimately, you realize the only place to find true authenticity is within yourself. You must build a home inside that is so real it can withstand the emptiness outside. The friction of being different tempts you to long for normalcy, an end to struggle. You imagine surrendering your vision for the comfort of belonging, but it's a seductive fantasy. Mimicking others brings only temporary relief. The authentic self waits in the shadows, demanding energy to suppress. You cannot unsee what you've seen. The door to ignorance is closed. Resisting the temptation of normalcy forces you to reaffirm your unique path. In refusing the easy way, you claim your perception as an integral part of who you are. The temptation clarifies your resolve and solidifies your identity. Isolation, when accepted, becomes a forge, a place to shape the self. In solitude, masks fall away and you confront your shadows, learning self-reliance. The loneliness that once hurt now becomes creative power. The forge burns away illusions, revealing your indestructible essence. What emerges is a self tested by fire, resilient, rooted in self-knowledge, no longer dependent on others for worth. You carry the forge within, a source of inner heat and light. Years of holding your tongue transform silence into a powerful language. Your presence speaks. Your quiet attention creates space for others' truths to emerge. You listen deeply, sensing what's beneath the words fear, longing, exhaustion. Silence becomes a vessel for connection, a tool for discernment. You trust your intuition, letting embodied knowledge guide you. Mastery of silence brings authentic power. Your words, when spoken, carry weight. The silence that once isolated you becomes your greatest strength and deepest connection to the real. After the agony of the mask and the silent scream, there comes a moment of quiet grace. It is the first glimmer of the authentic self, emerging like dawn after a long night. You wake up and realize the need for approval has lessened. The gnawing hunger for validation is replaced by a quiet sense of self-possession. You have become the understanding witness you sought outside yourself. This emerging self is quiet, solid, and calm. It does not need to prove its worth, it simply is. You move through the world with a new kind of integrity. Your actions align with your deepest values naturally. You can say no without guilt and yes without reservation. The chasm between your inner world and outer expression closes. The mask has been set aside. You attract others on a path toward authenticity. Your loneliness transforms into chosen solitude. You can be with others without losing yourself. The search for a kindred spirit ends. You have befriended your own soul. Any connection now is a welcome addition, not a necessity. The world is still full of illusion, but your relationship to it has transformed. The burden is no longer a crushing weight. It has become a sacred stone you carry with dignity. It is the touchstone of your authenticity. The first glimmer of the true self is a quiet promise. You have survived the isolation and found yourself. The transformation begins not with the darkness receding, but with the choice to carry your own light into it. You become a source of illumination, picking up the lantern, your perception, no longer a curse, but a tool. The world remains dark, but you are no longer lost. Your duty? Keep the flame alive and take one more steady step into the waiting night. The suffering you have endured does not simply vanish. It is not a wound that heals without a trace. Instead, it becomes a part of you, integrated into your very being. The immense pressure and heat of your isolation and pain have acted like a blacksmith's forge, transforming the soft iron of your former self into something harder, more resilient, something akin to steel. This is not the brittle hardness of cynicism, but the flexible strength of a blade that has been tempered by fire and hammered into a new and durable form. The suffering has become the raw material from which your strength is forged. This new strength is quiet and unassuming. It does not need to boast or display itself. It is an inner certainty, a deep knowing that you have faced the worst of the darkness and survived. You have weathered the storms of alienation and self-doubt. You have borne the weight of unspoken truths and resisted the temptation of a false peace. This history lives within you, not as a collection of painful memories, but as a source of unshakable fortitude. When new challenges arise, you meet them with a calm that comes from experience. You have been in the abyss before, and you know the way through. You know that you can bear it. The pain you have processed gives you a profound capacity for compassion. Having known the depths of your own suffering, you can recognize it in others, even when it is hidden behind a mask of anger or indifference. You do not judge their blindness or their denial because you understand the terror from which it is born. You know the allure of ignorance because you yourself were once tempted by it. This experiential knowledge allows you to connect with others from a place of deep empathy, not pity. You see their struggle not as a character flaw, but as part of the shared human condition. Your own healed wounds make you a healer. This strength, forged in the crucible of suffering, becomes the bedrock of your authentic self. It is the foundation upon which you can build a life of integrity. You are no longer easily swayed by the opinions of others or by the pull of the collective, because you are anchored in something far more real and substantial, your own hard-won truth. The suffering has carved out a space within you, and into that space wisdom has flowed. The pain was the price of admission into a deeper reality, and the strength you now possess is the lasting inheritance of that costly, transformative journey. Scars are not just reminders of pain, they are marks of wisdom. In the alchemy of transformation, scars become the patterns etched onto the soul, proof of battles survived. They teach us to honor our stories, to see beauty in imperfection. True strength is found not in avoiding wounds, but in embracing the wisdom they leave behind. There comes a time when inner transformation begins to manifest outwardly, a new way of being in the world. This is the emergence of the firm self, rooted, quietly present and unshakable. You walk with calm steadiness, your boundaries clear but flexible. No longer defined by opposition, you exist alongside the world, investing your energy in what is real and meaningful. Your firmness becomes a silent invitation for others to find their own. The journey of transformation leads to a new purpose. You become a steward of the light you've nurtured. This isn't about preaching, but quietly holding the lantern steady, offering presence in a chaotic world. By simply being yourself, you create a space where others can find their own light. In becoming a steward, you complete the circle. Connection replaces isolation, and your light helps guide others through the darkness. In the final act of this transformation, your relationship with being alone is, well, completely redefined. The painful isolation that once felt like a punishment, a sign of your otherness, has now become a cherished sanctuary. Solitude is no longer a state of lack, an absence of others, but a state of fullness, a presence with oneself. It's a space you actively seek out, not to hide from the world, but to reconnect with the source of your own strength and clarity. It's the quiet room where you can hear the whispers of your soul without the distracting noise of the collective. This sanctuary is a place of deep restoration. The world, with all its surfaces and demands, is draining for a person of rare perception. Solitude is where you recharge. It's where you can take off the last subtle remnants of any social mask, lay down your lantern for a moment and simply be. It's a time for integration, for allowing the experiences and perceptions of the day to settle and find their place within your larger understanding. In the silence of your sanctuary, the fractured pieces of the world come together into a coherent, meaningful whole. It's a return to your own center of gravity, a recalibration of your inner compass. Within this solitude, you find a new kind of companionship. You're not truly alone because you are in deep communion with your own authentic self, with the archetypal currents of the psyche, and with the quiet wisdom of the natural world. This inner relationship becomes the most reliable and nourishing one in your life. It is the wellspring from which you draw the strength to re-engage with the outer world. The fear of being abandoned by others simply disappears, because you know that you can never be abandoned by yourself. This inner companionship makes you a better companion to others, as you no longer need them to fill an inner void. Your solitude then becomes a gift to the world. Because you are regularly retreating to your sanctuary to replenish your spirit, you can engage with others from a place of fullness rather than need. You bring a sense of peace and centeredness to your interactions that can only be cultivated in stillness. Your solitude is not a withdrawal from life, but a necessary rhythm, like the exhale that must follow the inhale. It is the sacred space where you gather the light that you will then carry back out into the world. It's the final, quiet triumph, turning the very thing that was once your greatest source of pain into your most profound source of peace. The journey through darkness doesn't end in blinding light, but in a quiet dawn. The fog of confusion thins, replaced by a gentle illumination, clarity. The inner war is over. In its place, acceptance. You honor the cost of your journey, seeing every scar as a lesson. Now you see the world as it is and find peace in your own truth. Having navigated the darkness, you become the lantern bearer, a role of quiet dignity, not power. Your task is to hold your hard-won light steady, a warm glow in the vast darkness. You do not demand followers, but simply stand as a beacon for those seeking hope. The work is humble, yet essential, bearing witness, keeping the flame alive. In this you embody the enduring power of the human spirit to create light and meaning. If this clarified something for you, like the video, share it with someone who needs courage to see clearly and comment your takeaway. Subscribe for more Jungian psychology and philosophy. And remember, the online therapy link is in the description and use code THERAPY20. When you're ready, cue up the next video. I think you'll love it.